And we are back. Episode 30 something. So episode 30 something. I don't fucking know anymore,
I was
man.
about to catch you.
Yeah, I don't know. 34?
34, right?
34.
34.
Hey, thanks for the thumb over there, Joe. I've seen that one before. I felt that one before. Yeah, I felt
That's
all
wild.
7 of those too. 8. I felt all 8 of those
Oh, we're
fingers.
at 30. We're 38. Oh, we're at 35.
Okay.
35,
All right.
damn.
Jesus Christ.
I just knew these couches were gonna be like this, where my feet weren't gonna be touching the ground.
Yeah.
You want to get you a pillow?
No, I'm about to just sit Indian style on this one.
Hey, man, however you want to do
Whatever
it.
you want to do.
Yeah,
Nah, we're good. We're good.
Put your feet out
I'll
this way, just lay long ways, like Rose from Titanic and shit. Just fucking all laid out.
Yeah, well, Joey will paint you.
Yeah. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. Bradley Sparks, a.k.a. Nemo, is in the building. Holy.
What's up, y'all?
Hey. Hey, we were kicking it with him here a little bit ago, and we made a little TikTok video.
Yes,
Man.
we had to.
Yeah,
that's a must.
That's a mandatory. Like Bucky's, that's mandatory.
Mandatory.
Yeah. Well, Nemo came a long way from Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma
Yep,
City.
Oklahoma City. Not that far. About 5.5 hours.
That's pretty fucking far, man.
Yeah.
That's far enough.
I mean, so last year when I was doing shows and stuff, it seemed like everywhere we went was 17 hours away. So
Yeah.
when you say 5 hours, I'm like, oh, that's just right down the street.
That ain't shit.
Right down the street.
No, man, we appreciate you more than you'll ever know for coming on and,
Yeah, for real.
and goofing off with us a little bit on a TikTok video.
Yeah.
Dude, it was awesome. It's so great, and we're looking forward to getting into your story a little bit here.
Yeah, man. So my story. So I grew up in Oklahoma City. I'm an Okie, and I got the cowboy hat because I came to Texas.
Hell
I don't
yeah, you
have
did.
a-
And you left the tag on. I like how
Yeah,
you left
it's
a little hood.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it back for gas money. You know what I'm saying?
You got the fucking tag on the back.
Yeah, I ain't stupid. But,
I was wondering why the barcode is still on there.
Yeah.
but so I grew up in Oklahoma City and to a single alcoholic mom, and I say alcoholic because I'm not saying that to bash her, but at that time I didn't know what alcoholism was, and I just know that my dad was never around. My dad was in prison all my life, and I did have a little brother and a little sister, or I do have a little brother and a little sister. We have different dads, and my mom had lost custody of them. So for the most part of my childhood, or from the time I was born till I was 13, it was just pretty much me and my mom, and whatever boyfriend she had at that time. You know what I'm saying? And so to me as a kid, my childhood was fun. You know, I could do whatever I wanted. You know, my mom would say, "Hey, honey, I'm going out for a drink," you know, and not come home for 2 days. So being like
Wow.
11, 12, 13 years old, you know, you're inviting all your friends over and
Yeah.
you're having sleepovers, and she comes in 2 days later stepping over kids. And so to me, that was the normal life. To me, it was moving all around the city. I think by the time I was 13, I had, I'd probably was averaging about 3 schools a year. And that's what's crazy. It's all in Oklahoma City or the surrounding towns around Oklahoma City. It wasn't like we were moving to state, although we did move to Missouri for like 6 months. But for the most part, it was in Oklahoma. And so I got really used to being the new kid and having to meet, you know, feeling like I never fit in. I always felt like I never fit in. And like I was always an outcast. So whenever I'd go to this new school, we'd be there for a little bit. I'd get really like restless and like, you know, it was kind of like I couldn't wait to switch schools. You know, when's that gonna come? When's mom gonna get a new boyfriend, or we're gonna move? She's gonna break up with him. We're gonna move and go to a new place to live. And then in '98, she decided. I think she had hit her bottom. And in 1998, I'm 13 at the time. Well, I was 12, almost 13. And we were living in my friend's house. And we were staying in my friend's bedroom, he had went to and lived and stayed on the couch, and me and my mom were sharing his bed. That's how bad it had gotten. And she called my aunt. I call her Nana. Shout out my Nana. It's my mom's little sister, and she told her she was ready to get clean and moved us to a little. They came down in a 1991 Dodge Colt hatchback, and we loaded up everything we owned in that hatchback. Plus, I put my GT bicycle in the back. So, I mean, that sums up what all we had, you know?
Yeah.
And drove to a little town called Adair, Oklahoma. And you want to talk about a culture shock for a kid that grew up in the city. You're 12, almost 13, and you move to this country town where the school is kindergarten through 12th grade, and they're giving SWATs when you get in trouble. You know, I'd never heard of that in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
You know, when you got in trouble in Oklahoma City, you got suspended. You got in-house.
Yeah.
So I'm getting my ass whooped by the teachers and principals.
Yeah.
And I got all these country boys, and they're calling me a wigger, saying I'm acting black, saying stuff like that. And, and again, just fell right back into not fitting in, you know. And about 6 months in, though, we move into my aunt's house, and she gives us a spare bedroom, and she puts 2 twin beds in it, one on each side of the wall, and I'm on one bed, my mom's on the other. She gets her a little job as a loan officer, and then saves up enough money, gets her a car, starts getting her driver's license back. And I mean, if you're in recovery, y'all know how big of a deal it is to get your driver's license back.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So I've heard.
Hell yeah.
Some of us are still working on that.
Hey, man, keep working. I'll tell you what, it took me $5,000 to get my driver's license back.
Wow.
I had lost mine at 20 years old, and I didn't get them back until I was 35.
Damn.
And it took $5,000, a bunch of classes, and it took a bunch of stuff for me to get them back. But
Yeah, they don't make that easy.
if you're working on it, keep working. Don't take no for an answer. Just keep trying. But so she gets all that back, and I start seeing. But every day she's bringing home this little blue book, you know, and it's a recovery book. Do we keep that out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's bringing that home every day, and she's reading it, you know, and life's starting to get better, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She runs into her old high school sweetheart, and next thing I know is we're moving from my aunt's house about, I'd say 6 to 8 months after living there and her being sober. We're moving in with her high school sweetheart, which would become my stepdad. And he had a son, so I was moving in, and I was going to have a stepbrother. And then my mom was fighting to get custody back of my little brother and sister. She had never had him the whole time I was a kid. And so life was starting to get normal. We moved from Adair to a smaller town called Foyle, Oklahoma. And I mean, bro, it's
Foyle?
like, yeah, Foyil. It's like, so it's country like Adair, but like the meth version of country.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
Town of like 1,000 people.
yeah. So it's I go there, and so I'm having this normal childhood. You know, we're taking like family trips and stuff. I have my own bedroom. I'd never had my own bedroom. My first bedroom at 13, and you know, we get my brother and sister back, and I'm reunited with them, and I still didn't have a concept of what like recovery was, but I knew she was doing something, that life was getting better.
Yeah.
And about, I'd say a year later, she got carpal tunnel surgery in both her hands, and next thing I know is she's starting to get these little blue pills.
Oh, yeah.
And some Loratabs, and she's taking them. And I noticed that she's having the same kind of, she's acting the same way she would when she would be drunk all the time. You know what I'm saying? And she's having the same mannerisms, and her and my stepdad's fighting a lot. And I didn't know anything about addiction, but at this time, I think I'm like 14, and it's the 8th summer after 8th grade, and I go into 9th grade, and my 9th grade year was great. Like, I didn't do nothing. Like, all my friends were starting to smoke weed, and I was like, nah, man, I'm not doing no drugs.
Yeah.
You know, it's like one of them types of things that I seen what drugs and alcohol did to my mom. And,
Yeah.
but I don't know what happened, because after 9th grade, like I didn't miss one day of school. I got perfect attendance that year, and perfect grades. And 10th grade rolls around, and my mom and stepdad split up, and we moved to Claremore, Oklahoma. I'm sure y'all probably ain't heard of that either, but Claremore's a bigger town. Still kind of a small town, but it's a bigger town than Boyle. And we move into a trailer. And so it's me and my brother sharing a room, and my mom and sister sharing a room. And at this time, my mom's full-fledged into her addiction. And she's not working, fighting for disability. And so I would go to school, get out of school, go straight to work at Warehouse Market and bag groceries. And that's when I started selling weed. And that was literally just to help pay rent. And next thing I know, I started smoking it.
Yeah.
You know? And I would go from Claremore to Oklahoma City, pick up a half pound, drive it back. This is back when marijuana was illegal.
Yeah.
So, you get that old Mexican brick weed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking,
Put an orange peel in there.
Yeah, a bunch of seeds and stems. And,
Put an orange peel in there.
I'd drive back home, and I'd put it. Everybody in that high school wanted dub sacks, so I'd dub it all up. It'd be nothing but dub sacks.
Yeah.
And I remember coming home, and my mom had found it, and she was crying. She was bawling her eyes out. And I remember saying, "How the fuck do you think I'm paying rent? It ain't bagging groceries."
Yeah.
And she was. She never said anything else about it. And my little brother was ADHD, so he got prescribed Adderall. And I remember seeing people doing those at school, so I would take my little brother's Adderall, and it was little capsules, and I would take the little pellets out of the capsules and put something else in it. I don't know what I was putting back in his medication, y'all. So
Poor guy.
I'm sorry, Josh.
Shit.
But and then I would sell them. And that's when I got introduced to Adderall. I had a buddy that I was selling them to, and he goes, "Have you never done these?" I was like, "No, man." He goes, "I'll buy you one." So he bought it off me and then gave it to me. And then I took that, and it was, man, I was out. So speed, my sophomore year at 16, speed, pills, and marijuana was my thing.
Yeah.
And I still didn't know what the pain pills was. I knew my mom took them, and I knew what they made her look, what they were doing to her life. So I really didn't care for them. And it wasn't until I was 17 years old, we'd moved back in with my stepdad, and I'm sick for like a week, and I missed a week of school, and I had like all this backed up homework to do. And I had to get it done real fast, and I was still sick. And I remember my mom coming in there, and she goes, "Here, take this." She hands me a 7.5 Lortab, and she goes, "That'll knock it out." So in my mind, it's just my mom giving me medication because I'm sick.
Yeah, like Tylenol type shit.
Yeah, so I take it, and oh my God, man, forget the speed, forget the weed. I fell in love.
Oh yeah.
And
how old were you?
I was 17, and I was a junior in high school, and I had met the love of my life, and it was opiates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is when I believe the obsession kicked in. That's when I think I crossed that line.
Yeah.
And, because I don't get into the argument of is it a disease or is it a choice. Scientifically, I do believe 100% it's a disease. But I do believe it's a disease that is caused by our bad choices. It's like if a person has diabetes, they can get diabetes from a lifetime of bad choices. And that's what it is. So it's like a disease is like an organ that is defected by symptoms. The organ being the brain, the symptoms being bad choices. And so that's how I define it. When people are confused about it being a disease or a choice, I think it's both, y'all.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe that. And I think that's when I crossed that line and the obsession kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go and pick up my mom's prescription, and I would open up that bag. I'd take the staple out, grab me few Lortabs out of it, close it back, staple it back. I had a stapler in the car,
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I pick up the prescriptions, and I would have me, and then I was buying them from people at school, and then my mom started getting hip to what I was doing, and she wouldn't let me pick up a prescription anymore. And then by the time I was 18, and she's at this time, she's prescribed a bunch of stuff. She's prescribed freaking opiates, benzos. I mean, the list goes on. This is back in 2003, 04, when the DEA wasn't really involved like they are now. Like, it was easy. So my mom taught me the game at 18 of how to work doctors.
Yeah.
And I'd gotten rear-ended. It's a little fender bender rear-ended, but she taught me, go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Have them check out your back. Bam. Go to this crooked doctor. She's going to check your back out. And then she's going to say you have degenerate disc disease. And that degenerate disc disease is going to get you all these pills. And then once you get all that, go to this other doctor. And so she taught me the game of working doctors. And by then, my addiction is full-fledged. And that's when I got introduced to Oxycontin. I was getting prescribed 80 milligram Oxycontin at the age of 18.
Damn.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. And so I would literally I would sell just enough to pay for my prescriptions, and that was it. By then, I was not even caring about selling drugs. I was doing them all, and I was locking myself in a room and just nodding out to movies and just isolating from the whole world. I had become a full-blown addict at the age of 18. I barely graduated. I don't know how. They actually pulled me, the principal pulled me into the office, and he said, look, I'm going to let you walk across the stage because I know you're going to have family members there. He goes, but you're going to have to go to summer school and get these last credits before I give you your diploma. And I did that too. So I was able to graduate and get my diploma, but it was literally barely.
Real quick, what were you trying to cure with the opiates?
You know, at that time, I don't know.
You were just trying to have...
I like I said, when I took that first 7.5, it was, it's like when it dropped down into my stomach and it released everything. It was like that feeling as a kid where I told you I didn't fit in. It was like, now I fit in.
Yeah.
Now I can talk to
warm,
anybody.
fuzzy blanket.
That warm fuzzy feeling, and I can talk to anybody, and I can talk to the point that I get on your nerves type shit. And like
opiates gave you energy?
Oh man, massive energy. Yes, and then when it was time to go to sleep, I could go to sleep.
Yeah,
and I didn't know anything about withdrawals at that time, and so my first introduction to withdrawals. I'd ran out of all my scripts, and you got to think, a kid, at this time, I'm graduated, so I'm 19 at this time, but I'm still living at home with my stepdad. He's sick of me. He's ready for me to move out. My mom's sick of me, but she's become my drug buddy at this time. And it's not a mother, son, and I'm not talking bad about my mother. I'm just being honest about the situation, and my mother was a great woman, and she did the best she could with what she knew. You know, that's why it's so important for us to teach our children, because they're going to pass on what they learned to their children. That's right. And it was just a cycle of, just from generation to generation, that being taught. So my mom did the best with what she knew how. But so we run out, and I had this girlfriend at the time, and we went to a buddy of mine's house, and we went to my friend's house because I knew that his dad would get methadone and pills, and I was going to try to get some of those off of him, and that was the whole reason I went. I wasn't there for the party, but they were partying that night. So I go there, and we start taking shots. I'm doing any kind of substance I can to get these withdrawals to go away because I'm sick. And but I still didn't know what was going on. It was like I had been in a opiate fog for months and hadn't been without. So being without that first time, I didn't. So I'm doing anything. I'm taking Somas, Xanax, and I'm shooting tequila that night. So I'm mixing a muscle relaxer with a benzo and drinking liquor on top of it. And so me and my girlfriend go back home, and this is the part where I forget because she and my mom told me the rest. But we're in my bedroom, and I go to turn off the closet light switch, and I go up to reach up for the rope, and I just fall over, bam. And I was overdosing, so she pulls me out the closet. My mom runs in. They say at this time I'm starting to change colors and like I'm barely breathing. And mind you, we live out in the country, so when she calls 911, the sheriff gets there before the hospital does.
Sure.
I mean, before the ambulance gets there. And so he gets there, and this is what my mom said, that he was trying to do CPR on me, but he was like plugging my nose and he wouldn't go mouth to mouth. He was like staying this far from my mouth and blowing. And it pissed my mom off. Yeah, so she runs over there and throws a glass off his back, breaks a glass off his back. It's like, you're going to fucking kill my son. And so she starts giving me CPR to the point where I start foaming out of the mouth. Long enough for the ambulance to get me there, get me to the softball field for them to life flight me to Tulsa. And they life flight me to Tulsa. This is on a Friday night, I believe. And I woke up the next day on a Saturday, and I didn't know what was going on. So I look up and I see my sister to my left and my girlfriend to my right. And I just start freaking out and I start pulling everything out. Bam, bam, wires, bam. Pulled the catheter out. And,
that didn't feel good.
Oh, yeah. So I pulled the catheter out, start pissing blood immediately.
Oh, man.
And they running in, the nurses running in, they're like, he's trying to kill himself again. He's trying to kill himself again. I didn't try to kill myself the first time. I was just trying to take I was just trying to take enough substances to get the withdrawals to go away.
Yeah.
So they put another catheter in me, and they remove all my family members. Now they got me on suicide watch. And around the clock suicide watch by 3 nurses, 8-hour shifts. So I'm sitting there and I piss blood for like 5 days straight. And I sit in that bed and I laid there and just withdrawed that whole time. And I couldn't see none of my family, you know. And at 19, I'm still a kid. I mean, mentally, I'm still like 17. You know what I'm saying? It's 'cause you stop growing mentally when you start using it.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time.
And so I'm still in my, it's like, I need my mommy. I need, my, So I'm sitting there and they got me on suicide watch, and I keep hearing rumors that they're going to send me to Laureate, which is the mental institution right next door. But I wasn't trying to kill myself, so they got it all messed up. But come to find out, the doctors, when I was still in that like one day, when I was out for one day, the doctors had come and talked to my mom, and they said, your son probably won't make it. If he does make it, he will be a vegetable. And that's what they told her.
Jeez.
And so I woke up out of that freaking out after them telling my mom that. Like, I didn't even know that was what was said. So, like, that's a miracle in itself, Anyway, I'm in my gown, and I got this elaborate plan that I'm going to escape the hospital, And so I go to the bathroom, and they let me go to the bathroom and close the door whenever I had to take a shit,
Yeah.
But being on like, I barely ate for 5 days, so I didn't really shit that whole time. So I told them I had to shit. I get up and I rolled a little thing over. Am I allowed to say that on
Yeah,
here?
of course you are. Yeah, everybody shits, man.
Okay. So I rolled that IV and all that over there and closed the door. So I'm unscrewing the IV, and then I unscrew the catheter right there to where it's still hanging out, but I unscrewed the bag part.
Damn, dog.
I wasn't about to rip the shit out this time. About the rest later. Yeah. And then I go and I'll come out. Now I don't have anything attached to me. And I roll back out, and I'm like, the nurse is like reading a book. This really sweet lady. And I roll to the door, and I'm short, so I'm 5'2". And so the little windows I had to tippy-toe to like look out of. And she's like, what are you doing? I was like, I just want to see a different view. That's what I told her. And right when she went to go look back down at her book, I opened that door and I took off running to my gown. And all I'm doing is following exit signs. So I hit the exit sign, I find a stairwell, and I start hitting stairs. I don't know how many floors I was up, but
in your gown.
In my gown.
With a catheter hanging out of yourself.
Naked. Yes.
Yeah.
And because you ain't about to send me to know I'm not crazy.
Right.
You ain't sending me to
This ain't no crazy shit right here.
I'm not crazy.
Little did I know I was insane.
Yeah.
But so I get down to the bottom of the stairwell and I hear all these sirens. I'm freaking out. I'm like, man, they already called the cops. And then it clicked that I'm at a hospital. Of course I'm hearing sirens. So I wait for sirens had died down, and open that door, and I take off running. And I don't know if y'all's familiar with Tulsa, but I'm running down 61st Street, and it's literally, I don't know any main streets here in Texas, but it's a main street, and I'm taking off. This is 2004, so there ain't cell phones. I mean, there is cell phones, but they ain't like they are today.
Right.
And I'm like, I got to get off this main road, and I start hitting fences, bam, bam. And mind you, I'd been laying in bed for 5 days, so my legs are noodles.
Yeah.
And I'm running off pure adrenaline. And I don't know what made me knock on. I only knocked on one house, but I went to it. Probably God, I don't know. I knocked on the door, and the lady is like, she answers the door, and the first thing she goes, did you escape from the mental hospital? Because he was right next door. And I was like, no. I said, I don't have time to explain. I said, can I use your phone, please? I just need to call my mom. So she comes back with her cordless phone and a pair of jean shorts and a white T-shirt because she had teenage boys.
Yeah.
And so I was able to put those on, and I met my mom at the corner store. She took me to her friend's house who was a nurse, and the nurse took the catheter out correctly. And I went straight home. I went straight home, and the very first thing I did was use the same exact pills that put me in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's the insanity of this disease.
Yeah.
It's the only disease that tells you don't have one.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I get there, and the first thing I do is take what put me in the hospital.
Tail old this
Who
time, bro.
does that?
Yeah.
You know, like an addict, a real alcoholic does that.
Yeah.
Fast forward, you know.
Did you realize at that time you had a problem too, or no?
No, I thought I just took too much. You know,
Yeah.
this time I can not take as much.
I got to adjust.
This time I will make my pain pills last.
Yeah.
That I'm working illegally through 2 doctors.
Yeah.
So fast forward, man. I am in and out of jail, I break up with that one girlfriend that I was with for a few years in high school. And now I'm just in and out of jail, catching probation. You know, I'm catching possession charges, possession of marijuana, possession of CDS with intent. I'm getting public intoxicants, stuff like that. And just minor stuff that would keep putting me on probation. But I was catching them in different counties. So it's like I'd get 2 years here, bam, 3 years probation here. And fast forward to I was 24, I believe. And at this time, no, I take that back. Let's rewind a little bit. At 21, my mom got into the methadone clinic. They sold her a dream. She bought it. And so when I was 21, she got into the methadone clinic. And now I got cut off by all my doctors at this time. And I couldn't get nothing from my mom. So I was like, oh, yeah, because, you know, they were saying methadone's sober, you know.
Yeah.
You get on methadone, you're sober.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, oh, man. And I had taken it before, so I knew what it felt like. I was like, I don't want to be methadone sober.
Yeah.
You know, so I get on methadone, too, at the age of, it was right before my 21st birthday. Matter of fact, on my 21st birthday, I went and bought beer, and I gave it to my little brother because I didn't even want to drink it. That's what I did on my 21st birthday. That's because I was in that methadone. Life where I was waking up every morning to go to the clinic.
Oh man.
Get my fix. Yeah.
6 a.m.
Oh yeah.
5 a.m.
4 a.m. Yeah, you're standing in line to be the first to get your,
man.
get your fix.
I used to hate it when, at least at the clinic I went to, there'd be this like guy that was like grandfathered in. He'd been going to the clinic before they changed the rules.
Right.
And this guy would come in with like those big, like fire safe enclosure briefcases. Monthly, bro.
Yeah.
And I would hate to be behind that guy because you're going to be there for a minute.
And I knew I wasn't never going to make it to being a monthly because I stayed smoking weed.
Right.
And
right.
you couldn't fail your drug test to phase up.
Right.
What's a monthly?
It's where you get a month's worth of methadone.
Oh, they just give it all to you.
Instead of going up there every day to get your dose.
Okay.
Yeah, you just get like 30 doses.
Yeah, because I'm sure we have some viewers that don't know.
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
Well,
shit.
and some clinics these days won't even do monthlies anymore. Period.
Really?
At least the one I went to, like the most you would get would be like a weekly.
You got to be real trustworthy on a monthly. Then.
So they must have changed it up.
Yeah.
Or it must be a Texas thing. Or
Or it could just be clinic specific. You
right.
know?
Yeah. So, yeah, so I was living the whole methadone life, and you want to talk about, at that time I was so numb to the world. Like I didn't feel no pain, but I didn't feel no joy either.
Right.
You know, like, and I was so underweight, and like I'm a little dude. I'm 5'2", 140. You know, but I literally, I think I weighed probably about 105, 110 pounds, and I was pale white. You know.
Yeah.
And that's what methadone did for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't try to go get pills. I mean, I didn't care. You know, it was like I took this monkey off my back and put a gorilla on there.
What dose were you at?
I got to the highest. I got to 100, and then they wouldn't dose you up past that unless it was like really serious.
That's crazy. Because I was on 180.
Damn. See, you hear about those dudes. You know what
And
I'm saying?
and if I wanted to, I could have probably got a couple 20 more milligrams.
I don't know what you was telling them, but I didn't have the lines. You know,
You know what they would ask me? Are you feeling any relief? You know, I feel good, but I'm just not quite there. That's what I would say.
Not getting high enough.
This would be the word I would use. I'm still a little edgy.
Yeah.
Oh, let's take the edge off then.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the deal, man. And so I'm not gonna knock people that are on methadone and Suboxone. You know, if they believe that it saved their lives, then more power to them. But I know in my experience, methadone and Suboxone, Subutex, whatever, all that stuff, it was substituting one addiction for the other.
Right.
And it did nothing to relieve the obsession that comes with addiction. Because I would just obsess over my next dose.
Right.
I would obsess over whether I had enough.
Dude, there'd be times where like I would miss my alarm.
Yeah.
And I'd wake up in panic mode because I got 20 minutes to get to the clinic, and I'm calling them crying like, please, will you, it's going to take me 30 minutes to get there. Will you please just stay up another 10 minutes, please?
There's no freedom in that.
And I'm begging them like, please don't close, because especially if it's on a Friday, I get my weekend take home. So there ain't going to be no dose till Monday.
Right.
I'm pleading with them.
That's horrible. Like you're a slave. You're a slave to it.
Well, you're a slave to the disease, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you really are.
To
And methadone withdrawal ain't no
addiction,
joke.
Right. No. So
Is it the same as opiate withdrawal?
Yeah, but about magnified by about 20 times.
Oh, it's worse.
this is cool because I'm getting to stretch out my story a little longer than I would if I was standing behind a podium. But, So it's pretty cool. But speaking of methadone withdrawal, I was introduced to that when I went to jail. Well, they were revoking my bond, and I was so scared not to have my methadone dose that when the bondsman told me, or when my lawyer said they're revoking your bond, you need to sit here in court, I took off running out the courthouse. I'm 22 years old at this time.
this.
I've been on methadone for a year. I'm not about to withdraw.
That lasts a month at least.
Yeah. So my super non-athletic self takes off running, thinking that I'm gonna get away, and I'm hitting stairs again. Here I am escaping again, and I make it out of the courthouse, and it's a small town, so the jail is literally right behind. And my dumbass runs around the courthouse and runs right into the jail, and got freaking cops waiting on me right there.
Yeah, made it easy for
They
them.
drew on me right there, and I get to jail, and that was, I would say, methadone and Suboxone are both up there as far as withdrawals, as far as how long it takes to get out of your system. Because for the viewers that don't know, methadone and Suboxone has a longer half-life, which means once it's in my body, you're not going to start feeling the withdrawals until about 72 hours in, unlike regular opiates where you will feel the withdrawals within 12 hours.
Yeah.
And so because of the long half-life, it takes longer to get out of your system. And there's rumors even that like it gets in your bone marrow.
Methadone,
Yeah, in your bone marrow.
That's
I've
what they
heard
say.
that.
That's
So
what
I don't know. But I stayed in jail, I think for 45 days, long enough to kick it, you know. And it was the first true, like, I mean, I started feeling alive again. You know, I started feeling the goosebumps, you know, started feeling feelings like crying, laughing, and like all them gifts from God that we suppress, you know, with substances. I started feeling those again. And I get out, and my Nana, shout out to my Nana again, the one that picked us up, she was like, you are not moving back in with your mom. And my mom's still on the methadone at that time. And she already knew what time it was if I did. So I moved in with my nana, and they give me this. I'm 22 years old, and I'm only on like 2 years probation with minimal fines. And he's like, look, I'll let you stay here rent free, get you a job, pay your fines off, and save you up some money, get your own place. I get a job at a little store called The Woodshed, and I end up falling for the assistant manager girl. We were the same age, and seen this beautiful native girl, and she took interest in me, and I took interest in her. Little did I know she was a real alcoholic. And mind you, I didn't drink much then. And so I thought it was a good idea after living with my nana for 3 months to me and her move in together. And so we're both 22, but she has a kid, you know, and mind you, I'm still mentally 17. You know, I can't play stepdad. You know what I'm saying? So, and not to mention, she was with another man while we were doing our little thing on the side while we was working at the store together. You know, so so he was still kind of involved as far as being in her life. So there was a lot of jealousy and all that. Well, fast forward to my 23rd birthday, one of our many drunken fights, and she calls him up. We get in a fight, so she calls him up, and I remember we're in her car because I didn't have a car, I didn't have a license, and I'm in the passenger seat, and I got this big freaking half gallon of Tavarsky vodka, and we're drinking, just cussing at each other, fighting, and next thing I know is he pulls up right behind. She stops. And like I said, I think I was 105, 110 pounds. I wasn't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? I locked the door.
Yeah.
And he comes around, and as soon as he comes around, he opens up the back door to try to reach and unlock it. And that's when I unlocked the passenger door, and I took off running. Phew. And anyway, they chased me down with the cars, and he beat the shit out of me, and I walked home. I was so beat up that I walked home in the country roads back to my nana's house, and I got a ride from this guy, and he goes, "Did you get in a car wreck?" And like, it was bad. And this is what that was. So I moved to Oklahoma City, and moved back in with my mom. She's living in Oklahoma City this time, and I thought it was a good idea to get back on methadone. You know, I cannot do this sober.
Yeah.
You know, you take away any kind of substance, I'm gonna go to whatever substance you have, I'm gonna do there. So I go moving back on my mom, and that's what's there, methadone. I start taking her methadone, and then I just go back to the clinic. And me and my brother had gotten into it. By then he's 18. He's 6 years younger than me. So I'm 24, he's 18. We get into it. I end up stabbing him, and
jeez.
Yeah. And I threw the knife away, and I remember I was blacked out on Xanax, so I remember pieces of it. And I remember getting into it with these gangbangers in the apartment complex, and I had this, I don't know what it was. It was a fucking rifle, and I remember going out to the parking lot and shooting this rifle off, like I was gonna do something with this old ass country, like Western rifle. It was so out of place in what I was doing. And the security guard of the apartments and I remember getting knocked down and the gun flying underneath. I don't know what happened to that gun, but all they arrested me for was illegal discharge of a firearm for a misdemeanor. I mean, I could have got shooting with the intent to, you know what I'm saying? I could have got a freaking bad felony, but I got illegal discharge of a firearm. And when they arrested me, that's when they asked me my name, and I told them I was my little brother. The same little brother I just stabbed, you know. So not only is he in the hospital, you know, with a wound to his stomach, but I'm going to juvie under his name at the age of 24, you know.
Wow.
So I stayed there 3 days. I started serving. Yeah, this
That's
this
crazy.
is the insanity. Yeah, it's crazy. It gets crazier. Just wait. So I stayed there for 3 days, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Once I start, you know, getting everything out of my system, I'm like, I can't do this to him. I'm already feeling bad that I stabbed him, but I feel bad that I'm about to put these charges on his name too. And I go and I tell the guard, hey, look, I'm not 17, I'm really 24. And oh man, when they shipped me back to Oklahoma County, it should have been just like I can't think of that charge, but obstruction of justice is what it should have been, a misdemeanor. Yeah. But because I took it as far as I did, they gave me a falsely impersonating another 5-year sentence. And that was my first trip to prison. Mm. I get to prison at the age of 25, and I didn't know anything. I mean, I was scared to death, but they sent me to a boot camp type prison, and I had to do a drug offenders work. It's called drug offenders work camp, and I had to do a program. But most of the people that go into this program, they go home after they're done. I was just going to get shipped to another yard to finish out my sentence.
Yeah.
And that I was there for 11 months, and it was the first time I had ever been sober for that long. And not recovery, because the only reason I was sober is because there was nothing getting thrown over the fence. In there. If they would have thrown some stuff over the fence, I would have took it.
Yeah.
But I was starting to get size, I was starting to get healthy. I was getting my weight back in my face. Mm-hmm. I was smiling, laughing. Them gut laughs. Yeah. You can't get them gut laughs when you're on opiates or any kind of methadone or Suboxone. But I was feeling alive.
It's a crazy place to feel alive, though.
Yeah, but I felt more alive there than I did my whole time in addiction.
Yeah,
it is.
It's so wild.
It goes to show that it's really a mindset. You know? Like a lot of that's a mindset.
I've heard Mike Tyson say before, like the most peaceful he's ever been was when he was in prison.
Yeah,
because that's when you have your sanity.
You're not obstructed by the world.
Yeah,
yeah.
This world goes by fast. When you get there, you want to talk about if you want to get close to God, you know what I'm saying? You can get real close to God in there, And a lot of people call it jailhouse religion or whatever, but I can say that anyone who has done it, honestly, they'll tell you they felt more close to God there than anywhere else. Because this world, it'll distract you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And look around. We're distracted every day.
Yeah.
Social media and I'm saying this as a content creator, but it's true. Turn on the TV. You're distracted by sex. You're distracted by, alcohol, drugs, just everything evil in this world. You're distracted by. You don't have that when you're locked up. It's just you, and you got time to really reflect and do some meditation. And I get shipped to another yard, and like I said, when I got to the other yard, there was hella drugs there. First thing I did was get high, because I didn't know, I hadn't had the knowledge of what addiction was, of what recovery was. So I get there, and I see someone in the yard that I know, and immediately he's like, "Hey, you want to hit this?" Yeah, damn right I do, bro. I ain't got high in 12 months, bro. I'm ready. That just spiraled down. I dropped down into a work center, and then I dropped down to a halfway house. By the time I hit the halfway house, I'm balls to the walls. Now, mind you, I'm 27 now. I did 2 years on this 5, and I'm almost home. A week before I get out, I decide. Now, a halfway house, for the people that don't know, is you go out and you work in the real world. You get half of your check. The DOC gets the other half, and you get 25% of your check. The other 25% gets put into savings for when you discharge. I was working at Waste Management on the back of a trash truck, and I would get out at like 5 in the morning, and I didn't have to be at work till 7, so I had 2 hours to fuck off. Mm-hmm. And then I'd get off at a certain time, 3 or something, and I didn't have to be back till like 7, so I had like 4 hours to fuck off at the end. So I had 6 hours just to run around the city. And so I was getting drugs at street price, and I was balls to the walls. And I remember calling my driver and telling him, hey, I ain't gonna make it in again. It was 2 days in a row that I'd done it, and he was sick of it. So usually he wouldn't call the center on me, but he was mad, so he called the center on me. And they pulled me back in. The warden, I had a 1 week to discharge, and he's like, can you pass the drug test? I said, oh, I'll probably fail for weed. That's that answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they give me that drug test, and I fell for everything but cocaine.
Oh,
And so he's like, I have no choice but to ship you. So I get to, so I'm thinking that I'm gonna go back up in security, and they're gonna give me more time. I sit in there for a week withdrawing, and they pull me. They pull me out on the day I was to no. They did a review of the write up, and I went in there and I just told them I was just honest with them about what happened, and they hit me with 2 Class A's. 2 Class A's meant 4 more months on your sentence, and so I went back thinking, you know, I'm gonna be in prison for 4 more months. I'm gonna lay back, do what I gotta do, whatever. Call my sister. I'm like, hey, put money on my books. I'm gonna be in there for about 4 more months. On my discharge date, Sparks, bunk and jump. I'm like, what? So I discharged my first prison sentence in county jail, thinking that I was gonna get shipped up because of my addiction. And I get out. First thing I do, I move in with my sister and her new husband, and I'm right back at it. I did not unlearn anything in prison. Matter of fact, prison just helped me meet more friends that did drugs, you know? Fast forward, I stay out. I got out in 2013. That was January 2013. I stayed out for a little over 2 years. By this time, I was moving from in that 2 year span, I had went from my sister's to a friend's house, got with this girl and I just got with her because she was on Suboxone or Subutex. We stayed locked up in her. We moved to Joplin, Missouri in her grandma's rent house. We're literally living there for like 6 months, and the only thing we do is shoot up, fuck, or fight, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you talk about toxic. We run out of our drugs. I'm living in Missouri, and I'm living about 3 hours from, you know, my mom and everybody. And we get drunk. I get some alcohol because I have nothing. I can't find nothing else. And I had this idea. I'm like, let's go visit my family, you know, once the liquor hits.
Yeah.
And I take off, and man, I don't want to be too explicit on this. So we take off, and she's giving me roadhead, and I'm driving like 90 miles an hour in a 65 at 2 a.m.
Drunk.
Yeah. We get lit up. I'm like, babe, we're getting pulled over. I said it so calmly, she didn't believe me, and I was like, we're getting pulled over.
Yeah.
So I have no license. There's no insurance on this car. She's a licensed driver, but she was way more wasted than me.
Yeah.
So I said I would drive because she was more wasted than I was. But I get pulled over. They get me. I blow a 1.6 or 0.16. Yeah, 0.16. It was like double the amount of the legal, and they take me to the county jail. And I'd been to that county jail when I was 19. I'd gotten in possession of marijuana there before. I'm thinking I'm just going to be in there for a misdemeanor DUI, you know? Mm-hmm. My first DUI, it was long ago. Well, it wasn't long enough, so they hit me with a felony DUI and because it was 8 years. He even said, he goes, if it would have been 10 years old, it would have been a misdemeanor. They get me with that. I do time in this county. From there, I go to another county and have to sit out some fines. They had a hold on me. By then, I lost the love of my life, you know, and she left me. And I get out, and I'm doing the same thing. And I'm moving with my mom, and it's just a repeat cycle of. I at this time, I don't know why. Why is it that I keep doing the same thing over and over, and I'm expecting different results? You know.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about
sense.
That's insanity, though. Yeah. That's the definition of insanity.
That jaywalking thing.
Yeah, and so I'm moving with my mom, and by this time, this is gonna be a great story, y'all. How long we been on?
We ain't worried about time.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we're good.
So I'm moving with my mom and my stepdad, and they're living in a smaller trailer, not the one we grew up in Chelsea, Oklahoma. It's about 15 minutes from Foil. Y'all remember Foil in my story?
Oh yeah, shout out Foil, man.
Yeah, shout out Foil, y'all.
I love Foil.
America.
Foil.
And
oh yeah.
So I was So when I did my 12 steps, I did a sex inventory. And for those who haven't worked steps, is a sex inventory really doesn't have anything to do with sex. It's about your relationships. And what I learned when I did that was every girl in my life I had either used for a place to live, for sex, or drugs and money.
Yeah.
I had never had a real relationship other than my high school sweetheart. And so I met a girl in this town, and it was the same thing. I was using her for drugs and for a place to stay when I wasn't crashing on my mom's couch. And I'm back on opiates. I run out of opiates. I find this other girl, not the one I was messing with, that sold Klonopin, and I get a couple of Klonopin off of her. I go back to this girl's house, and I take 2 Klonopin. I have a tall boy, a Budweiser, and I'm chugging it with that. And this is the last thing I remember. I blacked out, and I woke up in a cell. And it's crazy when you black out and you wake up in a jail cell, because you don't know when you push that button. If you're gonna push that button, they're gonna say you're in here for either murder or public drunk. You know what I'm saying? You don't know, so you're scared to find out what you're in jail for. Well, let's rewind because of cameras in the store footage, my mother's testimony, the guy with the truck. This is what happened. I take these 2 Klonopins, drink that beer, get in a blackout. I stole a little girl's pink Huffy bicycle.
Oh my God.
At this time, I am 28. Stole this little girl's pink Huffy bicycle, ride it to the convenience store that stayed open till like midnight. Maybe it stayed open 24 hours. I don't remember. But it was late when I got there. Pulled up, parked my bicycle by the ice machine, walked in, stole a Muscle Milk, and I'm stealing everything. I didn't buy nothing in there. So they're watching every step I make right when I walk in. So I steal a bunch of stuff. I think it was a Muscle Milk and some other stuff, but I know it was a Muscle Milk because I was trying to keep my weight up, all the drugs.
Yeah, man. I mean,
gotta get that protein in.
Gotta get that protein in, and I take off riding on the bicycle, and I ride to my buddy's house. Well, it wasn't my buddy; it was my drug acquaintance that I knew had meth. And I go in, I knock on the door, nobody answers, and I open it. It's like 2 a.m. And I get in his stash and get the meth, get the needle. He had clean needles. It got me a needle, and I take off before he woke up. And I ride to my mom's house. And I ride to my mom's house because I didn't have a spoon. So my mom's door was locked, and I'd also lost my left shoe somehow on this. So I'd show up at 2:30 in the morning on this pink Huffy, banging on my mom's door.
dude, you're riding all over town on a stolen pink Huffy with no shoe.
Yeah.
One
with
shoe
meth
on.
in my pocket, a rig in the other, and I'm going to my mom's house to cop a spoon.
Dude, you need to get that tattooed on you. You on a pink Huffy, rig in your pocket, one shoe.
I didn't know none of this till I read the discovery. It was so embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? Because when you get locked up, people check your paperwork.
Yeah.
Make sure you ain't on some weirdo shit.
dude.
So you check my paperwork.
Oh my God.
Ain't nothing gangster about my discovery.
They're passing your paperwork off to everybody. Read this shit. Read
There ain't nothing gangster about my discovery.
Or the most gangster shit ever.
It's I don't want to show you this. It's embarrassing. I mean, it ain't like I'm on some weirdo charges, but it's just like, man, I stole this little girl's bicycle.
But did it have training wheels on it or no?
I don't know. I don't think it did.
That would have been awesome.
So I'm banging on my mom's door, waking her up, and she opens the door, and I'm like, I need a spoon, Mom. And she goes, you are fucked up, Brad. You need to get help. And mind you, this is 2015. My mom's still on methadone. She's been on methadone for 9 years. So she did her methadone, that whole time, did nothing else. So her telling me that I'm fucked up and I need to get help, I was like, well, you're judging me. Why are you judging me?
Yeah.
It's like, so I leave pissed off. I think I did get the spoon. I did the meth, and I left pissed off. And I was like, I'm going to ride back to that dude's house. And I rode back to that dude's house because I knew he was still asleep. He lived with his dad. And I knew they kept the. Now I'm on a stealing spree. You know, I'm about to go steal some shit. And so that's when I stole his truck. And again, I'm pulling out. He hears me start it. His dad hops in another truck and chases me down, pulls out in front of me. I almost hit him. I get out. I'm in a hoodie, and he pulls me out that hoodie, and I take off running. And I run back to that girl's house that I was staying with, and I run to her back room, and I get in the closet, and I'm like, if anybody shows up, I'm not here. So the cops show up, and she tells them right where I'm at, and they open the door. Bam! I get booked in for assault with a dangerous weapon, possession of stolen vehicle, public intox, just a bunch of list of misdemeanors, and stealing the pink huffy.
Yeah.
Stealing from that store.
Yeah.
And now I'm in there, and I'm on my way to prison again, a second time. And at this time I'm 28, almost 29 years old. And no, I'm 29, almost 30. That's how old I was. Yeah, it was 2015. So I'm 29, almost 30, and I get to the yard, and I literally turned 30 years old when I hit the prison yard that day. And on my 30th birthday, and same thing, man. Went right back into that cycle, you know. For those who think that you can, like, the prison system, in my experience, there's more drugs in there, and they're so easily, you can get them. They're so easily accessible that you can get anything you want if you have the money. And
yeah, we've heard that a couple times on here.
And that's what I did. You know, I went right back to it. Again, I dropped all the way down to a halfway house in Tulsa, and I discharged at the age of 31. And I was so strung out that my stepdad came to pick me up, and I didn't even know I was discharging. I was taking stolen hair clippers back to Walmart, because at this time I was a barber. I was really just fucking everyone's hair up to get high. You know what I'm saying?
$10 haircuts.
Yeah, just to get high. And I was taking these stolen clippers back to Walmart, and my stepdad calls me. He's like, "Where the fuck you at?" He's like, "You're supposed to get out today." I'm like, "Oh shit!" Didn't even know I was getting out of prison. That's how high I was.
Yeah.
And so I get out, and I have nowhere to go. My mom won't let me stay with her. My sister won't let me stay with her. I've burnt every bridge, and I call my Nana. And I'm like, "Nana, I'm going to be withdrawing off heroin, Xanax, alcohol, and I need somewhere to, and it's December 23rd is when I got out of 2016, and I need somewhere to stay to kick these drugs." She's like, "You can stay in the spare bedroom for the holidays." She's like, "But after the first, you need to be out." And that was the ultimatum she gave me. And I did. I sat in there and I withdrawed. I threw up. I cried like a little bitch. I tossed and turned. I mean, if you know anything about opiate withdrawals, and put benzos and alcohol on top of that, and it's just a nightmare. I worked up enough strength around like December 28th or 29th to walk to a Celebrate Recovery meeting. I wanted recovery. I had heard about it, you know, but I just didn't know what steps to take. So I was just like, I walked to the Celebrate Recovery meeting, and while I'm sitting in there, I have my phone and I'm on Facebook, and my high school sweetheart calls me or messages me, and mind you, it's like December 29th. I got to be out of my Nana's by the 1st, and she's like, "Do you want to go out for New Year's?" And I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah." So I'm like 6 days sober. I want to get drunk. Let's go get drunk. And on top of that, I'm about to, you know. So we go to the club, and I go to her house that night, and I never left. In my head, it was like God put my high school sweetheart in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is God. This is meant to be. But it wasn't. She was married, and her husband was in jail, and all his stuff was still in the house. So I was messing with a married man's wife. And I mean, me being married today, I know how fucked up that is.
Yeah.
But in my immature 17-year-old mind at 31 years old, you know, this was ha ha ha, you know, like this is and I moved all his stuff out, put it on the porch for him to pick up when he got out of jail. And they had a little daughter, a little 3-year-old, and now I'm gonna play stepdad. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. And we're both addicts. We go right back to doing the pills. We get our own place. Fast forward, and we're doing nothing but we're working, we're functioning, but we're fighting nonstop. Mm-hmm. And every time she's got a co-parent with her husband, who I stole her from him. Every time I get jealous, I get super insecure. Anytime she's got to go around and it's got anything to do with their daughter, I get super jealous and insecure and immature about the whole situation. And Labor Day of 2017, this is where we're starting to get to me getting sober for good. I wake up. Now, her husband had a daughter from a previous marriage who was like 17. And she messages me and sends me these pictures of her dad and my girl. And they'd been fucking that whole time.
Yeah.
And she goes, I just wanted you to know that this is what's going on. And immediately I flip, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're cheating on me with your husband. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, so that was my mindset. And I remember we had one car that we shared. And I remember taking the car keys. And I remember taking the drugs. And telling her she wasn't going to leave the house. And till she explains what the fuck these pictures are. And she's like, please, Brad, please just let me go. Please just let me leave. And by this, the little 3-year-old daughter is crying, bawling, because we're screaming at each other. She's like, don't scream at my mommy. And I'm in a blackout just of anger. And so she calls my mom, who lived a couple blocks down, to come try to calm me down. And she goes, my mom's like, just give her keys. And I take the keys and I throw them like a baseball at her, and hits her in the forehead and splits her open. And you know when you do something and you immediately regret it?
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I was like, oh no.
As you were probably releasing it.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, especially in front of the little girl.
Yeah.
And blood starts pouring down her face. I split her forehead open. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm like begging her not to call the cops.
Yeah.
You know? And she leaves, and I just start drinking myself into it,
Yeah.
The more I'm drinking, and she don't go to the cops. She goes to like her mom's house or something. And she just really wanted to get out of there. That's all. And she worked night shift as a med nurse. She like passed out meds at a nursing home. And so she worked the night shift 2 to 10. So when she got to work that night, I got a ride to her job to continue fighting with her because I couldn't get over it. I was so hurt.
Yeah.
And I remember the cops showed up. Her coworkers called the cops. They show up, and they wanted her to. They was like, "Did he hit you?" Because by this time it was swelled out to here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And she still lied about it. She said she got into an accident on her brother's boat over the weekend and blah blah blah. And they got me for public intox. But little did I know is I had 3 Suboxone pills in my 5th pocket. And when I get into the jail, they give me a possession with intent. Not possession with intent, bringing contraband into a county jail and possession. And so now I'm in there on new felonies. And mind you, I'm still on 5 years probation from the assault with a dangerous weapon before. And I have enough money to bond out. I bond out. By this time, DHS puts a no contact order on between the two of us because she won't do anything, because she won't go to the cops or anything. The people, now looking back, they were right about doing this, but like outside people got involved with DHS and told them what was going on. DHS made it to where we couldn't contact each other. But we're still so sick in our disease that we're still sneaking around seeing each other.
Yeah.
And by this time, I know I'm about to, my probation's probably going to get revoked, and I got these new charges. I'm going to go to rehab. If I get that certificate, you know, this will change everything.
Yeah, the judge will look at this and say, "Oh, you're making a change in your life."
So that was the deal. I'm gonna go to rehab, and I get into
not to get sober. It's not at all. No.
So I get into rehab, and she's coming every weekend and sneaking me pills. And so I would go through this thing where I would do a couple Suboxones, and I would withdraw for the next week until she came back. And then I'd do them a couple more, and then I'd withdraw. So I did my whole rehab time like that. And there was no... So the counselor pulls me in the office, and she's like, I got bad news. You're going to have to be discharged. You have a warrant out for your arrest for probation revocation. And I knew that was coming. So they was like, we can't hold you here at this facility with a warrant. And she goes, but you're 4 days away from finishing. I'm gonna go ahead and give you this certificate. I was like, oh yeah, that's the only reason I wanted to be here anyway. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they give me the certificate, and I get out. This is November 10th, and I call my bondsman, and I tell him the situation, and he's like, meet me at the courthouse on November 14th, and we'll get you. You can do a walkthrough. So I have to hide out for 4 days, and so me and her go on this hotel hopping spree where we're hiding out, and we're drinking, snorting pills, and fighting for this whole 4 days. And so at this time, my main drug of choice was whiskey and Subutex. And yeah, this is my favorite thing: Southern Comfort 100 Proof and Subutex. And
I've never heard of that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's what I liked at that time.
Subutex.
And so it's like Suboxone, but it doesn't have the naloxone in it. You don't know, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like you can shoot it.
I never even heard of it.
You can shoot it, snort it. It's like you can get all the fun out of it without that opiate blocker.
Damn.
So I have we go to my bondsman. In my head, I'm like, I'm on probation in other counties. You know what I'm saying? So I know that there's a chance that I might not walk out here. And in my bondsman's bathroom, I tell him I got to take a piss before we walk across the street. I got to take a piss is what I tell him. And I put 3 Suboxones in my ass, and just in case I don't have any drugs.
Yeah.
So I keister 3 Suboxones or 3 Subutex, and we walk across the street to do this walkthrough. And sure enough, right when I was done fingerprinting and everything, they call the other counties to find out if I have a hold. Sure enough, I got a hold out of Ottawa County, and they have 72 hours to come get me, is what he said. Well, good, because I have 3 pills. That's perfect. You know, 1 a day.
Yeah.
I get back to the and I had them wrapped up, guys. It wasn't like I just shoved the pills.
I'm responsible, damn it.
Yeah. So I get there, and November 15th, I do a pill. November 16th, I wake up. They're still not here to get me. I do the other pill. November 17th, 2017, I do that last pill, and they bunk and junk me to go to the next county. And my bondsman was supposed to get me out of there. And I get there, and they say, we got good news and bad news. I say, okay, what is it? He goes, the good news is you're here. He goes, the bad news is Rogers County, where I just came from, where they just picked me up from, put a warrant out for me while I was on my way driving 30 minutes to this jail. They put another warrant out for me. And this time it was for the domestic, for the whole key situation.
So they picked up the charge? Is that what they did?
Yeah, they gave me that, and that was a $50,000 bond, and there was no getting out. And by this time, while I'm waiting for Rogers County to come back to get me, I spent 30 days there waiting on Rogers County to come get me, and at this time, she put a protective order on me. So right when I get back, I got to go to protective order court, and she walks in with her husband, and we're standing like this, and the judge asks us both honestly. By this, I have 30 days sober now. My head's starting to clear up, and I was just honest with him. And he goes, wait, so you were going to see him in rehab when y'all had a no contact order? And she was like, well, yeah. She was like, when he's sober, he's not the same person, Judge. He's like, I'm going to grant this for 30 days and y'all both can split the cost. And he slammed his gavel.
Wow.
And that was the last time I had physically seen her. I go back and my lawyer comes and talks to me. He's like, you got this domestic, you got this possession, and you got this bringing contraband into a county jail on top of your probation revocation, which is 5 years. So he's like, no, without these charges, you're going to get 5 years. Mm-hmm. What I can do is take all these new charges, roll them into this 5 years, and you go do that 5. And I was like, I was like, okay. I signed it, and this was my moment of surrender. I went back to the jail, and I remember laying or sitting on my rack, bawling my eyes out. And I had the Bible open, and I don't really remember if I was reading it or if it was just, I don't know, but it was open. And I remember seeing this verse, and it was Proverbs 34:6. And it said, this poor man cried out, and the Lord heard him and saved him from all his troubles. And I remember looking up at the sky, and I said, God, take this fucked up life because I don't know what to do with it. And when I looked around, I realized I was sitting in the same exact bunk that I was sitting in 10 years prior when I very first went to jail. And I swear I heard the Spirit of God say, you ain't done yet. And it shook me to my core. And I hadn't been crying because I'd lost everything again. I wasn't crying because I was on my way to prison again. Prison had become a way of life, you know.
Yeah.
So I was comfortable in prison. I was crying because I feel like God had revealed how messed up of a man I was. I was crying because of how horrible of a human being I was. And that was my moment of surrender. You know, in recovery we have I think there's a moment of surrender and there's your daily surrender. You know, there's that moment where I say I'm done, and that was that moment. Mm-hmm. And there's a daily surrender that every day I wake up, I got to choose this life. You know, This morning when I woke up from the hotel, I had to choose to drive 3 more hours so I could share this message with somebody that it might save. Who knows?
Right.
But those are the 2 surrenders, you know, and so I knew that I was gonna, no matter what, I was gonna do recovery, and no matter what life had for me in the future, I knew it wasn't gonna be as horrible as what I had done with my life.
Right.
So why not? You know what I'm saying? And every time the pod had opened the door and they would say NA, AA, I was there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's an overcrowded 52 men in this pod, a 36-man pod. You know what I'm saying? You got boats on the floor, and maybe 3 of us are lined up for AA or NA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's interested in that. They playing spades, watching Family Guy, talking shit on the phone.
Yeah.
But I knew that I wanted to chase recovery. I didn't know what it looked like, but I knew it was in those rooms. And I get to the meeting in AA, and this guy comes around after the meeting. He goes, would you like me to bring you a meeting every Tuesday on the kiosk? And I was like, yeah. He goes, and so a kiosk is like a monitor in the pod. And so it'd be like FaceTiming him. And I was like, yeah, man. So he hands me this little blue book, and it's the first 164 pages of the big book. And he goes, I want you to read this, and I'll be back on Tuesday. And so I'm in my bunk, you know, reading this little big book, you know, and, you know, people clowning on me, talking about, oh, he ain't gonna change. That book ain't even go with him when he gets out of jail. Talking that shit, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting at the kiosk, and I'm for him to pop up on the screen, and it's a different guy. And the guy that pops up, he goes, Bradley Sparks. I said, yeah. He goes, you don't remember me, do you? I said, no. He goes, we had Art 2 together in high school. He goes, I have 11 months sober, and I'm here to read the big book to you. And right there, I get chills talking about it.
That's dope, dude.
Right there, I knew that I was right where I needed to be. I could see God moving in my life even in jail, even in those little moments. And so fast forward, I go to prison. This time when I get off the bus, the homies offer me something. I'm like, no, man, I'm done. Oh, yeah, whatever, bro. Yeah, sure. And hey, I got this line. You want a line? No, I'm good, bro. I'm done. You want some hooch? No, I'm done. And so I was just, if it was NA, AA, Celebrate Recovery, any 12-step meeting, church, did not matter. If it had anything to do with God and recovery, I was lined up for it, and I was all in. I dropped down to a work center, and I have 18 months sober. I'm feeling good, but I hadn't worked no steps. I haven't really done any. I hadn't dealt with the root issues of my problems.
Right,
you know?
Right. You were just sober.
Right.
You haven't dealt into it.
And I knew that if I hadn't worked steps with somebody, that I was going to get higher drunk again. I just knew I was, because alcohol and drugs is not our problem. They are the solution to our problem. We must find a different solution, which when you're in this journey long enough, you come to find out it's your own conception of God. It is God. And that's the solution, guys. Boom. And a guy's walking in every Friday, bringing an AA meeting. And I go up to him. I said, hey, man, would you mind working steps with me? And this is old, 58-year-old. You can tell he'd been a drunk all his life, and he's chewing gum. And he goes, I'll pray about it.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. So the next Friday comes around, and we do the third step. He asks me some questions, qualifies me. We do the third step. And then, I'd done altar calls before. I'd given my life to Jesus at the altar multiple times, but when I stood up, I never had any guidance. I never had anywhere, nobody to lead me anywhere. And so this time, after saying the third step prayer, when I stood up, he gave me homework. He said, this is what I want you to do. And he laid out the 4th step for me. He said, in this column, I want you to write everybody's name down, everyone that you would ever harm, or everyone that you have a resentment towards. On your next column, I want you to write down what they did. On the next column, I want you to write out what it affected. And then on this 4th column, I want you to forget about all those other 3 columns, and I want you to write your part in it. So where's your part to play in it? So I did a thorough 4-step. And on my 34th birthday, he came into that prison, and we did my 5th step. We sat across from each other at this table, and I just let it all out. And I remember bawling my eyes out. And I remember walking back to my cell, and it was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. It was like I was floating back to my cell.
Yep. Yeah.
And not everyone gets that same experience after doing a 5th step, but there is power in confession. And that's what a 5th step is. Basically, I was confessing. When you bring that shit to the light, it no longer holds power. And that is what was keeping me sick. And I didn't know it at the time. 6 and 7, a lot of people are worried about the 4th step, and they're scared of the 4th step, but the 7th step is what scared me the most, because humbly asked God to remove these shortcomings. And there was a lot of shortcomings that I wanted to hold on to.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I knew that if I asked God, I knew that God was more than powerful enough to remove them. And I wasn't ready for him to remove them. But so I had to, pray for willingness. And so I dropped down into the halfway house, and now I'm starting to go to my sponsor. Now he's my sponsor, and he's starting to pick me up and take me to outside meetings. And I'm working. I get me a little job doing waterproofing, making $10 an hour. I don't even know what waterproofing is. And I just know that, I want to go. I'd prayed about everything. I wanted to be in God's will. And so he starts taking me to outside meetings, and then coronavirus hits. And it locks us down 23/7. Now, mind you, I have 3 months left of my sentence. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm just going to sit back and watch TV for the next 3 months. Cool. I can do lockdown time. I've done it many a times. And I'm like, and I'm also in my head, I'm like, this is going to get me out of the 8th and 9th step. I don't have to do that yet until I get out. You know what I'm saying? Like, this give me a break from the steps.
Yeah.
But thank God for good sponsorship, because I get this manila envelope in the mail, and I pull it out, and it's got this letter, and it's got these 3x5, 23x5 cards. And in the letter, it says, don't think just because you're locked down that we're done doing steps.
And you're in the halfway house?
Yeah, I'm locked down in the halfway house. And he's like, I want you to write down everyone you had ever harmed. And then I want you to write down what you had done. And then I want you to write down what you intend to do to pay it back. And then I want you to pray for each one of these people. And he's like, and don't worry, you got plenty of time. Because he knew I was locked down. So I got to work, you know. I get out, and I get out, June 29th of 2020, and I got my 8-step done, and I'm ready to start making amends. You know, in recovery, they say that's where the promises start happening. This is when the miracles in your life start to happen. Is when you start taking action, and so. I get out June 29th, and the first person I wanted to make amends to was my mother.
Yeah.
You know? She wasn't a bad mom. She, like I said, she did the best she could with what she knew. She was still on methadone. And at this time, I believed that her long-term methadone use was causing her to have seizures. And so she was having seizures. They weren't like full out like that, but she would like be talking to you and then just stop talking and stare. It'd be those type seizures. And so they were in the middle of like taking her driver's license away. And I wanted to go visit her and make amends to her. And I asked her, you know, I was sorry for what I did. When you go to make amends, you don't put their part in it at all. You know, it's you cleaning up your side of the street. And I asked her to forgive me. And we sat there and we cried, we laughed. And, and my dad was a part of my life again. He had come back into my life. And my mom was super happy about this because my mom was so in love with my father. And I hadn't seen him since like I was 17, and right at the beginning of my addiction. And then, so from 17 to 35, 34, I hadn't seen him. And so I was reintroduced to him, and I had a little brother and 3 little sisters that I was reunited with, you know, never met. And so my mom was super happy about that. And that was on July 11th. So it was about 12 days after I got out of prison that I got to do that with my mom. About on July 22nd, 2020, she died in a car wreck on her way to go get a gallon of milk. And 23 days after getting out of prison, I'd only got to see my mom one time as a free man, and she died. And you want to talk about, you know, I talk about this a lot, and you're going to be tested.
Yeah, 100%
in recovery. You know,
it's an early
faith
test.
is not faith unless it's tested. You know, and you're going to be life's going to really hit you in sobriety. You know, you're going to have that pink cloud, you know, ride that motherfucker out. But I promise you, whenever life hits you, you better have the tools to not pick up a drug or drink, because that's all we know. You know, when life hits us, we run back to what we know. Thank God that I had enough tools in my tool bag that that night that happened. We drive to Chelsea, which is like 3 hours from the city, and me and my sister, and the day it happened, and we start cleaning her trailer. At the day that she got in the wreck and was pronounced dead, and my sister had her purse, and I remember some of my high school friends had broke into her trailer, and they were looking for her methadone. Yeah, for y'all that thinks methadone's sober, I mean, I don't know anything like that to cause people to break in the house. So my sister finds the methadone in the purse. I remember pulling out 2 bottles of methadone, and I remember saying, I told sis, I said, come walk with me to the bathroom. And I took that methadone, I poured it in the toilet, and it was just like...
recoiled like a hot flame.
I was just like, thank you, God. That's when I knew, like, God
You're good.
He had relieved me from the obsession. And I mean, because if I had an excuse to drink or use, that would have been the one.
That was the day.
That would have been one. And nobody would have been upset at me. They would have understood.
They'd have said it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I go back to my aunt's house. We put on, everybody's grieving the way they know how to grieve. There's taking shots at her table. I go into that spare bedroom, the one that I talked about earlier that I withdrawed in. I go back to that same spare bedroom and I put a Zoom meeting on. This is when Zoom meetings were real big.
Yeah.
And I put a Zoom meeting on and I didn't even put my face on. I just listened. And that's all I did, man. I sat there and bawled my eyes out. And that's how I agreed. I don't know how many text messages and phone calls I got from people in recovery supporting me. Like, hey, if you need anything, man, I'm here for you. I'd never had that, man.
Yeah, bro.
That was the beautiful thing about recovery. You know, I had support.
And it's as genuine as it fucking can be.
It is, man. They don't want nothing from you. Right. They just know that they need to give away what has been freely given to them, and that's how they're going to stay free.
Yep.
And so I go back, and I'd been talking to a friend of mine that I'd done time with back in 2015, and he was talking about he wanted to start up a sober house. He's like, I want you to be a part of it, man. And I'm like, I don't know, bro. I got 2.5 years sober. You know, what do I need to live in sober living for? You know, I had the choice to either live with my sister rent free, have my own bedroom. She'd give me a ride back and forth to work, or I could move into this sober living house, live with dudes again, pay $500 a month and not have a ride to work. So those were my two choices. I had to really pray about it. And every time I prayed about it, God was leading me to Better Together Recovery. And I made that. And I remember packing my bags from my sister's house. And she goes, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, yeah, it's time for me to put into action everything I've been talking about in the past 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And I moved into that sober living house with $200. And mind you, I'm 3 weeks out of prison. And $200 in my pocket, no driver's license. I still have that $10 an hour job waterproofing. And I go next door to the pawn shop, buy me a bicycle, ride that bicycle, open up my very first bank account at the age of 34. Take the debit card they give me and ride to the gym and open up a gym membership. And that's what I did with my $200. And my friend of mine that opened that sober house, and he said, look, man, you give me a year. Give me a year and I promise you ain't going to recognize your life. You just do what I say. Okay? And he taught me everything I know about surrender and money making and or money managing, actually, not money making. I saved up for 9 months on $10 an hour. I think I'd gotten up to $12 an hour at that time. I saved up $5,000 to get my driver's license back. Got my driver's license back at the age of 35.
How good that feel?
Man, great.
Dude. It's we talked about on this last podcast how you have to celebrate those little fucking wins that we get.
Man.
Like opening up your first bank account. Like to the regular person, that's like
that's normal.
Big shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Normal shit.
But for us, it's like, fuck yeah. Or getting your first gym membership.
And it's so cool because when I see newcomers now and they're super proud of themselves, so they'll post that they just got their driver's license back. They'll post it on Facebook, or they'll post that, hey, I opened up my very first bank account. And, you know, I understand. You know, man, I'm like, hell yeah, way to go. You know, but you're right. For the normal person, it's like big deal.
Yeah.
You know, but those are huge accomplishments.
Yeah.
For people like us. And that's why it's so important for guys like us to not just just get sober, have God remove this obsession, and then leave and never help the next person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Think of how many men and women would die if we did that.
Yeah.
How selfish of us would that be? So it's so important for us to, we remember those times. And I remember, man, I was wanting to start dating, but I didn't want to do it the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? And I remember my buddy that I opened up the sober house, he goes, I prayed for my wife. He said, pray about it. Ask God to put a woman in your life when he feels like you're ready. And I did that. And I described her to a T too in my prayer. I was like, I want her to have a fat ass. Like, I mean,
hell yeah.
That's how I talk to guys.
Yeah,
yeah, same.
But you know, and I'm going to and I have a friend of mine that was dating some girl in recovery, and I remember going to this meeting, and he was sitting there with his girl, and then there was this girl next to her, which was her friend, and she was like looking at me like this, like disgusted, and like I would sit there, and even when I like shared at this meeting, I was like looking at her, and I was like. It was like straight resting bitch face, like, but with a tad bit of disgust. Like she did not like me.
Yeah, which made you love her.
Yeah, well, I was like, what the fuck's her problem? You know what I'm saying? So I get out of that meeting, and then mind you, not just, but I had prayed about it, and my buddy comes up to me, he's like, bro, Charity's friend Carly. She likes you, bro. She thinks she wants your number. I'm like, what? The girl that was looking at me all hateful? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay. He's like, can I give you your number? I was like, yeah. So I give him my number, and I get this text message right away. Like as soon as I gave it to him, it was crazy. It says, "You are a gorgeous man." And then I had never, you know what I'm saying? I had always been the one to approach women, so it was. So for that, it was really different for me. You know what I'm saying? Like she was the pursuer in this, and so that kind of struck me, you know. And then kind of find out she's, you know, at this time I was a house manager at the sober house, and she was also living in sober living. She had a year sober. I had 2.5 years, you know. And we got together, and she had 2 daughters, and I just, everything, you know, you get all these people on the outside talking about, you know, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. But I'm every time I would pray about it, it was like, yeah, do it. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's telling me no, and God's telling me yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And a year after being in sober living, we got an apartment together, and we literally, everything me and my wife have today is built from the ground up. We literally, neither one of us had nothing when we got together. Neither one of us had a license. Neither one of us had a car. Neither one of us had, you know what I'm saying? We had jobs that paid shit, and we were living in sober living. It's like, so I seen a Kendrick Lamar quote that said, it's something powerful. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he goes, there's something very powerful about, you know, getting money with the same woman you was broke with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's me and my wife all the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, God. And we were married 10 months after we met.
Congratulations, man.
We had moved in, and I was feeling real convicted about living with her, not married. I mean, those were my personal convictions.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it the right way, and you know, and I knew that God would bless. I felt like God would bless our relationship if I did it the right way, and so I took that leap of faith and did it the right way, and He has. Fast forward, mind you, I'm like, now things are starting to get better. Now I become the director of that sober living house, and now I'm over all these men that are coming in and out of prisons and rehabs. I was starting to get promotions that you know, I was getting raises and starting to move up the ladder at work as a waterproofer. You know, I never held a job longer than 6 months.
Yeah.
And here I am freaking holding this job down. It's 3 years later, and I still have it. Oh, and that dream I had of being a barber when I was fucking everyone's head up, I really enrolled in barber school.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and I wanted to pursue that. And things were looking, I mean, life was getting better. It's just crazy. You know, she was getting promotions at her job. We both got vehicles, both got our license. We moved out of that roach infested apartment into a house. You know what I'm saying? And now, me and like I said, so as far as like content creating, I never set out to be a content creator. Like, I didn't know what content was. Like, I called them videos.
Yeah.
You know, I did not know that it was a thing. And I didn't know that there's people that literally spend years and years trying to be that.
Yeah.
And I had a buddy of mine that we were in that sober living together, and we were friends in recovery. And we decided one day, well, he had made this video, and it was funny. And I was like, bro, I have an idea for a video. And we go back. It was like a video like where I was going to cut his hair before and after. And he was going to play this reporter guy and talk about that I'm the best barber in Oklahoma City. And then it was going to be an after, and literally nothing had changed about his hair except it was combed a different way. And he was going to be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And that was our video. That was our first video. And so we made that, and and like I said, I was using TikTok just for the editing. And I'd take it off TikTok and put it on Facebook for my friends to see. And that's all I wanted to do was make funny videos.
Just make people laugh.
Yeah, that's all. You know, it was because literally I think of an idea and I laugh my ass off. And then especially when I think of a video or an idea and I'm like, ooh, when I do that, I know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And so now we're shooting back and forth about, hey, bro, we should do this. We should do this idea. And so he's walking through an Ace Hardware or something, and he sees this big old rat trap. And he's like, man, whoever has rats that big has a problem, you know?
Yeah.
And then he has this idea, you know, the show like Bassmasters, he has this idea that we can be two hillbilly buddies. And we were, so it started off just comedy skits. And we were going to be these two hillbilly buddies that, you know, were ignorant. And we were the trap masters. We were famous at trapping animals. And we used stupid traps to do it. So that was the idea. And I didn't like the idea. I was like, bro, hell no. And he goes, well, my name's going to be Terry Don Jerry Dale Davis. He was set in it. And I was like, okay, well. And I thought of a name, and that's when I came up with Jaquarius. And we were sitting, and I thought of my whole character. He has my friend had long, shaggy hair, and he's got that ridiculous name. So I had my name, and we're sitting in the kitchen. We're shooting the pilot for it. And I'm like, I don't know what made me do it, but I'm holding the knife, and I'm crossing my eyes. And he goes, I got camo. I said, go get it. And we put the camo on. We go out to the backyard, and we shoot that very first video. And it was all freestyle, both of us. And like nothing was scripted. And it was, I remember saying, that's right. That's right. And that whole character, just thinking back on it, like what I invented as far as my character goes. And I took that off there, put it on Facebook, but I also posted it to TikTok. I would still post to TikTok, and I was like, not thinking it's going to do anything. And woke up the next morning, and it had 20,000 views and 2,000 likes, and people were saying more Trap Masters, more. And mind you, at this time, we're just doing skits.
Yeah. And
just doing comedy skits. And everything we did, we wouldn't write anything out. We were it was like I would get off work. He would say, I'm done working at this time. And I'd be like, I'm getting off at this time. Let's meet up in your backyard. We'll turn the camera on and we'll just start saying some shit.
Yeah.
And people were loving it. And I had this idea. I kept hearing that damn Morgan Wallen song, what's going on, mama? Yeah. Something just dawned on me. And I kept hearing that over and over on the radio. And my character, Jaquarius, he at this time, he always talked about his mom. His mom was an alcoholic. He loved her to death. And so I was like, bro, I had this idea after we shoot the skit. Let me lip sync this song and you can just sit in the background like you're annoyed. And so we did. And I lip synced that song and it blew up way bigger than any skit that we did. So, you know, his idea was the comedy skits. My idea was the lip syncing. And from there, it took off. And I did not anticipate what that was going to do. I did not realize the amount of people, even in recovery, that were going to like turn their back on me when I got quote unquote fame, or we got quote unquote fame. But the whole year 23 was a ride, man. We were doing shows. We did shows, 2 shows in Tennessee, North Carolina, Michigan. I think right on the border of Arkansas. Like we were doing a bunch of little locals and bar shows, but it was like it was a really cool ride, man. And we got to where we were just doing. It was the lip syncing that blew us up, you know? And he would come up with a song, and I'd come up with a song, and that's how we did it. Like it was our turn to pick a song, you know. And we probably put 2 songs out a week, you know, in a skit here and there. And I was all in, you know, after our North Carolina show when we really blew up. And I told him, I said, we need to get an LLC. You know, all that behind the scenes work he didn't want to do. We need to open up a bank account. We need to get an LLC. We need to start getting merch. I need to get a logo for this. I need to get our characters so we can make different logos. And I did all that. And he would just be like, yeah, that's cool. Cool. Hey, do you want to meet me at the bank so we can open this up? No, you go ahead and handle that. Just get me a debit card. Okay, do you want to help pick this logo or find somebody? That logo looks good. Okay. So I literally, and I even got our name trademarked. The Trap Masters with the 3, I got it trademarked. And fast forward, freaking, it was January. He had to go, January of 24, he had to go work out of town. Here in Texas, he had to go to work, do some concrete work for like a week. He was going to be gone. I was rained out. So I was not going to be working for a week either in Oklahoma. And I'd started playing with editing, and I was getting really good at it. And I was like, man. And I was making personal videos. I made a couple personal videos, just me. And I put them on my personal Facebook because we had a Trap Masters Facebook, and then we had our personal accounts. And I just put it on my personal, and it blew up. My videos by myself blew up. And I was like, I would show him and tell him, like, hey, bro, look, man, I got freaking 10 million views on this, bro. And you know when somebody isn't, like, they're not happy for you.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, yeah, he wasn't happy for me. And I felt it. And I was like, I thought that was weird. And so fast forward, he goes out of town to work. And I start editing a bunch of different videos. And this is when I broke Chaz Dawson out. I broke the character Chaz Dawson. I was playing with him. My very first Chaz Dawson episode was Chaz Dawson interviewing Nemo and Az Jaquarius. Or not Az Jaquarius, but talking about the character Az Jaquarius. And I get this call. Well, I get this text at like 11 p.m. on the 26th of January. And he's like, hey, when I get back, we need to talk. I'm like, bro, like you're my girlfriend. Why are you texting me like that?
Yeah.
Call me. You know what I'm saying? Don't say that shit. Yeah. It's weird. And so the next, I was like, what is it, bro? I texted him back immediately. What is it? But I felt it. I knew what he was about to say. And I wake up and he goes, he has this long ass message. And he goes, it was at 5 a.m. I woke up to read it, and he goes, I feel like you were trying to make it a one-man show. I feel like you are, your ego has gotten way out of control. all I was doing was try to get better at
Yeah.
editing and make our videos better. And we had different ideas to do other things outside of Trap Masters as far as, mind you, on his personal Instagram, he's doing this whole time that we had done Trap Masters, he's doing this Captain Isosceles stuff the whole time. And I was always rooting for him. I was always like, hell yeah, bro.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Do your
funny.
own thing,
Yeah,
and
that's
then we come
funny.
together as a group.
Yeah.
As well.
And then he was just like, I feel like you're trying to make it a one-man show. Your ego's getting out of control. And I feel like you trying to control everything. Control everything. You never wanted to help me with anything.
Yeah.
What you mean control everything? And he's like, Trap Masters is over. And that's how he ended it. Trap Masters is over. And I was like, okay. I was like, wow. That's all I text back. I said, wow. You know, I was hurt. Especially because of I'd put all my eggs in that basket. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And it was like, that's like another blow in recovery, you know, of something unexpected happening that, you know, you never think that like
You got to deal with
a real friend, your true friends is going to betray you. You don't think that way. You know what I'm saying? And you don't think that's going to happen. And, but, you know, I'm the type that I adapt and overcome any situation.
for sure.
And I also know that nothing in God's world happens by mistake. I know that there's a reason for this.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, look, man, you can do what you want. I said, but when it comes time to tell our stories, I said, you tell your side, I'll tell mine. And he flipped out about that, blah, blah, blah. So he's, and then he goes on this long rant. He makes a post because I took my character, Jaquarius, and I ran with it. People still wanted to see Jaquarius.
Yeah.
So I took Jaquarius and I still was making videos with Jaquarius. I wasn't calling anything Trap Masters. And then I started bringing more characters in. Chucky D's, Chaz Dawson, Chase Freedom. You know what I'm saying? Like I started bringing more characters in. And I started to look at the bright side of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like when something bad happens, you can look at the obstacles or you can look at the opportunity. And I looked at the opportunity in this
Chicken shit or chicken salad, man.
Yeah,
like I
straight
mean, it's
up.
like the old saying.
I'm like, okay, this is creative freedom for me. I don't have to call you and say, hey, are you cool with this song?
Yeah.
I don't have to call and say, are you cool with this skit? All I gotta do is make it now.
Yeah, you got your own characters
Yeah,
now too. I
straight
don't
up.
have to fuck with anybody really.
Straight
I
up.
do my own characters.
I won't post to Trap Masters anymore. That page is over with.
Yeah.
You know, 600,000 followers, ain't posted to it since January. I'll take my little page and build off that, and that's what I did for the past 10 months, and it grew, and it blew up. But it was, to me, when I took Jaquarius and started making videos, he started talking shit on the internet. He started making posts and then blocked me, and then started making posts talking shit. And he was like, he said, I invented Trap Masters. I was the mastermind behind Trap Masters. I said, look, bro, you didn't. So I made my post. I said, bro, you didn't invent Trap Masters. I said, we invented Trap Masters. He came up with a name, came up with the idea to do the skits. I said, but it was my idea to do lip syncing. It was my idea. Jaquarius was all me. You did not make that character at all. I said, everything that I invented, I took with me. I didn't take nothing else with me. So don't ever for a second say I'm stealing from you.
Yeah.
And so that's how it ended. And
Y'all never talked on the phone or anything?
Not once.
He just text you.
no, and that was the last text was Trap Masters is over. Wow. I remember saying after he blew after he was texted back after that, he was the last thing I said was don't ever call me or text again. Because he had said some really low shit. He said some really foul shit to me that I didn't even want to respond. Like you made it clear right there that you was never my friend. You was just in it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when the opportunity presented itself and you got your little fame, you took it because you wanted it to be a one-man show. I never wanted it to be a one-man show. And but I mean, I took mine. I wasn't going to stop creating because I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like the ideas in my head are not by accident. I keep it up, you know? And
you also have a big voice for recovery too.
And that's it, you know. So that's what I was praying about. I was like, okay, God, I got this platform.
Yeah.
What can I do with it? You know what I'm saying? How can I not be selfish with it? Because I'll tell you right now, I hate money. I really do. I hate it, what it does to people. I understand that we need it to survive. We need it to, you know, live. But I'm not the type that loves money.
Yeah, like, you're in the same boat there.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous to, you know, I truly believe for the love of money is the root of all evil. I truly believe that because I see what it does to people.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, okay, what can I do with my platform? Even with like making merch, I'm about to start an online store, but every bit of my money is going to go towards helping people that are coming out of rehabs and prisons, you know. So I'm not even making the money for myself.
That's what I just did with my merch. I fucking we help scholarship 2 people into sober living.
See, I love that, bro. And
everything, every dollar I get, I donate 50% back to the community.
And that's being a good steward of what God blesses us with. It's like if we're good managers, good stewards of His blessings, then He's going to bless us with more. You know what I'm saying? So I don't do it for the blessings, but I know like I got this platform now.
Right.
So let me sneak in some recovery videos.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep making y'all laugh. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that's what y'all want. But let me speak to that dude that's scrolling, and then he comes across and he's really suffering.
Yeah.
He's really in pain, and he don't know how to stop using. He don't know how to stop drinking. Let me speak to that dude.
Yeah.
You know, let me speak to that woman that, you know, just lost both of her kids through DHS, and she don't know why she can't quit drinking.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why, you know, I have this platform, and I know that. So as far as, you know, the fame, all that, I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
I think that's why we're also so blessed here. Like, we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
We communicate. We're not afraid to hold each other accountable.
There you go.
But I mean, just all the way around to your point is how big you've gotten. I mean, I think about Rachel, who also is pretty big, and it was like, y'all ain't that hard to get a hold of.
Yeah,
right. You know what I mean? Like it was just, it's.
I'm a regular dude. I go to work from 7 to 3 doing construction. And then I get out and I go to barber school at night. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a regular ass dude. Like, I'm driving a Jeep that's on payments. Well, I drive a 2014 Volkswagen that's paid off, but this Jeep right here, it just got totaled from hail damage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like y'all. You know, there's the only difference is I got a following. You know what I'm saying? So people do let that shit go to their head, though.
Yeah, of
you know
course.
What I'm saying? It makes their ego go big, and you get out there, and I get recognized everywhere. You know, so all the time. But I can't ever forget where I came from, and I always got to stay humble and remember that is as quick as I got this. That's as quick as it can be taken away.
Yep.
Yeah.
I tell people that work with us, they're like, when they start making really good money, you know, they're always like, "What advice can you give me about work or whatever?" I say, "Stay humble and stay grounded."
Straight up.
Those are the 2 things. Because if you
I
lose
mean, that's
both
with
of
everything. It doesn't matter how much money you've got. Like those are just important across the board.
Humble, stay grounded.
Pride comes before the fall. You're gonna fall. You get let that ego get. Start saying that this is all me. I did this.
Yeah.
See how quick you fall. And it's like, so that's what I had to reevaluate. So in that whole time though, since him leaving, it really was a blessing in disguise. You know, it's like if I'm gonna be the villain in your story and that's gonna bring you peace, and cool, man, I'll be that villain. You know what I'm saying? And I won't say anything bad about you. You know, I will tell the truth of what happened. But as far as talking shit and making posts on the internet and calling you out of your name, I'm not gonna do none of that.
Yeah, you don't need to do that.
Nah. So, like I said, there ain't no blessings in that. But since then, I got with 2 other people and we started a podcast, kind of like y'all 3 y'all. It's called Been Around the Block. It ain't set up like this. I'm saying I'm gonna have to get some pointers from y'all.
Yeah. We'll give you all the pointers.
But you know, we started that, and we've been able to reach 56,000 people in the past, I think, 8 months. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
Like,
dope, dude.
I've gotten more into music. You know, I used to rap when I was younger, and I think that's why I'm so good at the lip syncing part of it, because
Yeah.
I used to rap.
You're
know
very
how-
talented at it, dude. Like
cadence and flow. I get it. You know
that
what
shit
I'm
looks
saying?
easy, ladies and gentlemen. But we just did one.
It was fucking
It,
terrifying.
it was a little terrifying, but like you did Monster with Eminem, which is probably one of the fastest
Yeah.
fucking things you could ever listen to, right? And you had it down.
Well,
to
Fuel.
a
I
T.
did Fuel too, but I mean, and that's the
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah.
most content on the continent, and constant compliments give me confidence. That one, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, but so I've gotten, God has put musicians in my path too.
Yeah.
You know that I got a whole studio in my room now since the split. Like I can go in there and make my own music.
That's
you know?
live.
And what I'm able to do is make parodies. I
Yeah.
get to make parodies, funny songs, and so it opened up a whole nother door for me because I didn't sit there and whine about it. I didn't go, ooh, boo-hoo, why me?
Yeah.
Why didn't we become the next Key and Peele? No, this is sometimes God needs to remove people out of your life so he can take you where he's trying to take you.
You weren't meant to be Key and Peele, man. You were meant to be fucking Nemo, bro.
you know?
Like that.
And
Man, something my buddy Blake always says, like when I got early in recovery, he used to always say this. He says, it's not, and I say this all the time, I'll say it again, it's not rejection, it's God's redirection. Sometimes you want to go this way so bad, and he's like, no, I need you over here. Like, this is where you're supposed to be. Yeah. So on those times where I'm like, man, why did that happen? Why did that happen? I just got to remember God's got it. Like, it's God's direction. So
Facts.
that wasn't supposed to be where you're supposed to go. He had to pull you back over here and put Nemo, you got to be over here.
this is the assignment I have for you.
Yeah.
You know, this got you started, but this is not where you're going to end.
Yeah. No.
This was just the stepping stone.
And that's what I want to, and I want to make this clear. I do not hold any resentments towards him. I do wish him the best. I know in recovery, I know what resentments do for people like us.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
cannot afford to
Can't do
resent.
that.
So I there was a moment where I had to pray for him. I had to pray and pray for him. You know, everything that I wanted good in my life, you know, health, wealth, you know, whatever, success. I had to pray those things for him. My sponsor told me to. And what that did over a period of time was it made me, I really started to mean it. I really started wanting those things. you know?
Yeah.
And whenever he would make them posts hating on me or, you know, saying that I was such a horrible person and blah, 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 it would make me really feel sorry for him, you know, like, you know, so instead of mad.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, what are you gonna do, man? You gotta let that shit go, and
You got to.
and it's
You got to.
and you're moving on beautifully here. And as far as like your passion for Nemo, and we got to witness it. Like, I mean, outside of the fun that we had, like
Yeah.
you just in between, you're like, this is fucking no, not like, and then you were like, nah, man, we're a little late here. Like, we gotta, you know, just watching the,
Choreographing and everything.
watching the genuine non-ego, just having a good time, fun
Yeah.
time that was. I would have never known to do that shit. But you were. It was beautiful, dude. It was like a beautiful thing to watch. It's
like art, huh?
Yeah, it really is.
Painting a picture.
It's super cool.
I had a blast with y'all. Y'all were super fun. And man, I'm you know, I'll end it with this is today, because I made that choice to surrender in that, you know, in that bunk in jail, my life looks nothing like it did before. You know, I have a credit score of like 730. You know what I'm
go,
saying?
man.
Like,
Yeah, dude.
I got 2 bank accounts, 2 saving accounts. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I have an LLC. I have I'm 200 hours away from graduating barber school.
Yeah.
I am now the foreman at that waterproofing job, making way more money than $10 an hour.
Yeah.
I'm the director for the sober living house that I started out at, and I get you know, get to see people come in and see their lives change. I have a wife, and at the age of 37, I had my very first daughter.
Yeah,
You know,
dude.
like my very
Beautiful
first.
That's
little
what I
girl. I
want to ask you
love.
about. How's fatherhood?
It's great. So I got two two stepdaughters that are 12 and 14. They're good. They're great girls. They really are. But teenage, that year right there is just it's a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
And I think I handle it well. The baby though is 18 months.
Yeah.
In 2 days she'll be 18 months. And man, like I had her at 37. I didn't think I was gonna have kids.
Yeah.
I literally in my prayers, I told God, if it's not, because me and my wife had a miscarriage. We had a miscarriage in 22 or in 21. We had a miscarriage. 2021, like literally a month after we got married, and I was so heartbroken. And when I prayed to God, I said, I guess it's not in the cards for me, Lord. I said, but what I will do is be the best stepdad I can be.
Yeah.
Because I've had some pretty messed up ones.
Yeah.
And a year later, we found out she was pregnant with Brinley. And then a year after that, Brinley was born, April 22nd, 2023.
All right.
Wow.
And
That's awesome.
literally like 2 months after my whole content creating.
Some of the best
gig
pictures
started.
ever, dude. Like with the wigs on and all
She's
that.
great,
Yeah,
bro.
dude,
Like,
it's awesome.
and it's such a joy. Marriage is not the easiest. I haven't been the best husband or father. It's something I will say this, that a man doesn't really know how selfish he is until he gets married. It brought to light what real love looks like.
Yeah.
Not just lusting after her, just it really loving her,
Through the ups and the downs.
Through the ups and the downs.
Yeah,
and,
man.
Really taking those vows seriously. And I'm still learning, you know what I'm saying? Like, so marriage, it's beautiful. And, but so that's what I get to be today. I get to be all those things. But the greatest thing I have today is that I wake up and I no longer have that obsession to drink or use.
Fuck yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
They don't even cross my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't trade this life for nothing. And I owe it all to God. None of it's mine.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I'm not that white. I'm not that holier than thou dude. I'm not going to pretend to be. But I will say that God is changing me for the better every day. And when I refuse to learn a lesson, he will take me back through it over and over and till I get it. But man, recovery is a beautiful thing. If you are new or nearly new, or you're out there still struggling, I promise you, make that decision that to surrender and watch what God does with it.
Yeah.
A lot of action.
Right.
Surrender and a lot of action. You're going to have to work jobs that you don't want to work. You're going to have to do things you don't want to do. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. In order for a man to change, he must be willing to become uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to do all these things. It's like I heard this saying I love is God can move mountains for me, but I'm going to have to bring my shovel.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm going to have to put the work in, but do that. A little faith and a lot of action, man. Watch where God takes you. I promise you.
That's right.
You're going to be mind blown. You're going to like the things that content creator?
Yeah, dude.
What? Like that was not my plan. You know what I'm saying? Director of a sober living, that wasn't my plan. My plan was to stay at my sister's house rent free.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, man, guys, I just want to thank you for listening to me fucking
Thank you.
Listen,
Ramble
dude.
on.
No,
Can I ask you
no.
one question?
Yeah, hell yeah.
our
Ask me a lot of
viewers
questions.
Our viewers are always like, what's the funny, crazy story during your addiction so that they can relate? Because I always share,
The fucking stealing a little girl's huffy.
Besides
that. I mean,
That's a great
that was the fucking.
That is
by
pretty-
far
that is
the
great.
Probably the icing on the cake right
That's it.
there. I would say that would be the one.
That's
Yeah,
the one.
because it's so embarrassing and it's really humbling to talk about. Like
if you seen someone steal your little girl's bicycle, you'd be like, what the fuck is going
Yeah.
on right now?
well, me being where I'm at today in this position, I'd be like, well, that dude's sick. He probably needs
Yeah,
help.
but I also I just think about I totally have like a cartoon playing in my head of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like a literal cartoon. Like, you just one shoe, little girl's huffy, driving God knows how long to all these different houses and shit. Mom, I need a spoon.
Yeah. Hey, some of us are sicker than others. So I definitely was one.
When you said that, we were at a meeting 2 weeks ago, and this dude drove through on a purple girl's bike.
Yeah.
Just drove through and just kept going. And I was thinking, damn, man, life's probably not good right now.
Yeah, man, but maybe that was his first step.
Yeah.
To like, you know, he was driving by that first time. He just, you know, he's just one step away from hopping in that motherfucker.
Like
And God bless him.
I started out like 2.5 years sober riding a bicycle.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it is what it is, man. Do what you got to do.
Got to do it, man. You got to put that work in.
But I mean, man, we can't thank you enough for coming by.
Man,
Like,
it was my pleasure, bro. It was an adventure for me.
Yeah, no, this was great. This was, I mean, it's a pleasure to meet you and
you too, man.
And see you show up here, run through, see you work a little bit and use our dumbasses for it. It was
y'all did great.
It was
that was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, man. It was the pleasure. And look, if there's anything you ever need us for and anything that you're doing,
all I say is that all I ask is that we stay connected because, you know, there might be a time that I have a guy that needs to come down here. You
Most
know what I'm saying?
For sure. Reach out.
I need to know
Listen.
resources. Yeah.
Reach out for sure.
Reach out
Same
anytime.
thing. Y'all need anything in OKC, just hit me up.
Yeah, we're always here, and we're looking. In addition to getting great people like you coming on, we're looking at spreading out that spider web. You know what I mean?
Hey, I see this podcast being pretty big. I see it for real. Just the way y'all's format and the way y'all got it laid out and just everything about it's gonna be. Yeah, y'all are gonna do it.
Well,
appreciate that.
I appreciate those words, but thank you so much for stopping by, brother. And,
yeah, man.
And just like that, I think we got episode 30 whatever in the books.
35.
Yeah, whatever.
30 whatever.
Episode Nemo.
Yeah, dude. Hey, Nemo, Bradley Sparks, Jaquarius,
Chaz Dawson.
Chase
Chase Freedom.
Yeah. All of these dudes.
Some more in the making.
Thank you for coming by. We should have them on for like 5 different episodes as the different ones.
And cop this sober water.
And yeah, come.
That's some real good shit.
This sober water. Thank you for everything that you're doing for us and for the world, really. And go buy sober water. And just like that, 2 addicts and a moron. Nemo. We're out of this.
Hey, reach out to us. Hey, if you see us out in public, we forgot to say that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all can approach us. We will talk to you.
A guy saw me in Walmart the other day. He was afraid to approach me, and he texted a guy who had been on the podcast. And I cannot stress this enough. Like, if you want to open any of our hearts with like all the joy that can be given, come up and say hi, and that this thing means anything to you. Like, that's why we're doing it, is for that. So
community podcast.
Don't get all freaked out. I'm being there with my girl and my kid. I don't give a fuck. Like,
make him stop shopping.
Yeah, make me stop looking at plants or whatever the fuck I'm in there doing. But like, yeah, please. So, with that being said,
how do they find you?
Yeah.
Okay, so Instagram, it's Nemo Sparks, N3MO _ Sparks. TikTok is Nemo, just N3MO. Type that in, I'll pop up. Same thing. And then on Facebook, it's Bradley Sparks, with the blue check on verification check. I am on YouTube under the same name, but I haven't really been playing with you. I need to start playing with YouTube more. I need to stop being lazy about it. But YouTube also. So
cool.
All right. Well, go find him. He's not hard to find. 2 addicts and a moron.
all right,
We're
It's
out.
out.